I think about the emotional scale from love and happiness on one end to powerlessness on the other, sometimes feeling right feels really good. How does that relate to the emotional scale?
It doesn't in this sense. If you can equate right with alignment and right with love, we'll go along with it. But often people would rather be right than feel good. In other words, our best analogy of this, Jerry and Esther, you see their monster bus out there in the parking lot. They didn't tow a car this time, but often for years they've been towing a car behind it. And Jerry has this thing that he liked to do when they were in the campground. He would hook the car on while Esther is still sleeping and then just see if she could get it out of the parking lot without running over anything. And he would step it off, and he was fairly sure that there was enough room. But the problem is, when the car is hooked on, you can only go forward, you cannot back up. And so if you don't have enough room, then it's a big thing to get the car off, because when it's on an angle, it's hard to get off. Esther's thought was, why don't we just take it out in a nice straight place and hook it up? Why gamble with physics? Why not just be sure? And Jerry's answer was, because it's fun. And Esther's answer was, fun for you. Fun for you. I'm the one sweating bullets, trying not to run over anything or anyone. And so Esther is looking in her camera. She's in her rearview camera, and she sees the car is already hooked on. And she looks forward, and she can see that there's barely enough distance to turn the bus. And she looks over there, and there's a tree. And she looks over there, and there's a tree. And she knows that it's like threading a needle with this big monstrous machine. And then she thinks to herself, I hope we have to unhook. Because she would rather be right than for things to go well. Because there's a sort of competition about being right. In other words, being right. She got really good grades. She got every star on every chart that was ever offered in any competition. In other words, being right, being the best. In other words, you train yourself to strive for this kind of excellence in this comparison as you compare your sense against others, which makes them less right. Right? In other words, if you're the right one, then the other one has to be the wrong one. That's even more satisfying, isn't it? Tell me that I was right, but more important, tell me that you were wrong. And it's sort of a human experience that goes on, you see.
So we've been trained into it?
You've been trained to use your comparison against the experience of others, instead of comparing your alignment with who you are. And so the criteria we would not use as the criteria, is it true? And we would not use as the criteria, is it right? Because that can get you. We would use as the criteria, how does it feel? But the true answer to that, and it's why your question is so brilliant, the true answer to that is, if it feels good, it is right. If it feels good, that means that the source, in other words, let's say you heard about somebody who did bad things and the world calls him a villain, but you see positive aspects in him, and when you do, you feel good. When you feel good, that means your inner being is agreeing with you. And it's quite a quandary, because most people are afraid to feel good about villains that the rest of the world is abhorring, but your inner being will never do anything other than love him, no matter what, you see. So it's a big question. What's the right way to be? A lot of people say it's right to love. Jerry was reading in a book he found in the drawer that it's wrong to kill. How do you sort those things out? In other words, when you're measuring yourself against the beliefs of other people, how do you ever decide what's right? Is it the biggest group? Is it the loudest group? Is it the group with the most guns? Is it the group that can do the most harm to you if you don't agree with them? In other words, how are your patterns of right discovered? And we say most people are really screwy and upside down and all around from the true depth of rightness that they feel within them. And so we'll just tell you, it's right to love, and it's right to praise, and it's right to appreciate, and it's right to feel proud of yourself, and it's right to feel proud of other people. It's right to expect good things. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Fast?
Hello. I was wondering if you could give us a rampage of appreciation to get us all into our vortex really fast. Like, I know we already are, but when you go on a rampage, it's awesome, and I love it. to connect us with our true self.
Well, the nice thing about a rampage at this stage of the conversation is that most of you are already right there feeling it already, and so we can bring this to a good feeling place, just starting where all of you are, by talking about some things that are sort of current events. Let's take advantage of this opportunity to come into the vortex relative to some things that matter. And let's think in terms of the vortex. Let's think in terms of the creation box. Let's think in terms of focusing in a way that really aligns you with the solutions that you've already put there. So we'll speak it from your point of view, from the physical point of view, but we cannot speak of the physical point of view in a rampage without coupling you completely with the source energy that is really you. So it's really a combination of all that you are, but we're speaking it from your vantage point. I feel exceptionally happy right now in realizing the well-being that is abounding on this planet, and I'm particularly focused upon the ecological balance of the planet because of the attention that's been brought to it relative to the oil spill in the Gulf. I realize that there have been a lot of conversations about the rightness or the wrongness of drilling underwater, or drilling in areas that are inhabited, or drilling at all. And there's a big debate about whether it's right or wrong to even use oil, whether it's right or wrong to drill it in the way that we are, whether it's right or wrong for corporations to make money from it. There is a lot of confusion about all of that. And through all of this conversation that has been fostered over a number of years, actually more years than I've even been alive in this physical body, I now feel such complete satisfaction in realizing that a number of things have come to a sort of crescendo, to this powerful culmination where billions of people around the planet are alerted and now asking for things that I am now realizing can come about. And these are a list of the things that I realize have come to a head that now I can focus upon and revel in and take pleasure in. I love realizing that as a people on this planet, we have so much talent in our diverse ways of looking at life. And I am confident beyond any doubt that there is not a problem that can present itself to us as a people, or even to me as an individual, but to us as a people, that cannot eventually be solved in a way that far surpasses the details of the problem that brought the solution about. In other words, I am expecting solutions as a result of a problem that is focused, that are bigger, so much bigger and so much better than the initial problem. I am anticipating that as a result of this focused energy, that governments will begin to work together in collaborating what's best for all of us. I can foresee a time when we are not factioned into our individual worlds or into our individual governments, holding one another hostage. I can see that the benefit that I am feeling and the benefit that others are beginning to feel about the collaborative efforts. I can see how our world can come together in a meaningful way as a result of this common problem that we are all beginning to experience. I can feel that the competitive nature of life is not a disadvantage but an advantage. But I can feel that in this competition, sometimes it's easy to get out of whack. And there's nothing like a global crisis to cause us to eventually, and we haven't come to that yet, eventually pull back from the pettiness of pointing out our differences and looking for every opportunity that we can to point out the rightness of our position while we are proclaiming the wrongness of another position. It's time for us to collectively acknowledge that we are collaborative inhabitants of this magnificent planet, where our dominant intent is to work together in a way of continuing the perpetuation of well-being on the planet, rather than living in competition with one another. And I am so looking forward to this opportunity to find people coming out of the woodwork from all kinds of unforeseeable places with solutions and benefits, where finally we can come together and recognize that the solutions to the things that matter to us can even come from places that we didn't anticipate them coming, and that there is good that can come from places that we'd carved off and only called bad places. I can see that this collaborative experience of this Gulf oil crisis can be a catalyst to bring us together collectively in terms of economics, in terms of ecology, and in terms of understanding the balance and the power of the diversity. I've been feeling for a while, we're speaking from your perspective, the advantage of the diversity of the beliefs and intentions that are present upon this planet today. And I can't think of anything that has ever happened that has the greater potential of causing people to lay down their prejudices and lay down their learned behavior of pushing against, and be able to see with their own eyes, through their own experience, the advantage of expecting good things to come from unexpected places. I'm happy to be alive in my physical body today. There has never been a time in all of physicality that is more conducive to a joyful life experience on planet Earth. It satisfies me to realize that because we have the potential of creating really big messes, we have the potential of creating really big solutions. And really big solutions is really big evolution. And really big evolution is really big satisfaction of the reason that we've all come forth in this time. I realize that none of us came forth in this time of high-flying intentions just to sort of muddle our way through. We are a powerful people who are collaboratively inhabiting this planet. And the potential for satisfying co-creative experience has never been greater. I love knowing about the vortex, and I love knowing that my emotions guide me to my alignment with it. And the most significant thing that I feel appreciation of in this very moment is the realization that not one other person has to be consciously aware of their vortex or of their inner being with whom they have the ability to align in order for me to have full alignment. And it is also exhilarating for me to realize that I can stand at a distance from any problem in full realization of the solution. And as I take joy in the pondering of the solution, I've contributed to this world in ways that those beating the drum of the problem will never be able to experience the satisfaction of co-creation. I love knowing that all really is well, and that no matter how it looks at any point in time or in a particular place, that the well-being is huge in relationship to the not well-being. I'm satisfied at what is taking place on this planet today. And from inside my vortex, from inside the vortex, where I commonly am, where I mostly am, where I chronically am, in concert with the wholeness of that which I am, I proclaim this time on planet Earth as the best time that has ever been, while I understand that it will get better with every day that comes forth. There is no reason for me to try to fix anything, because nothing needs to be fixed. And yet, as a solution seeker, I take great satisfaction in knowing that solutions are going to reveal themselves to me constantly. It satisfies me to realize that I now know enough that I can live the real time of the solution without needing to ponder the problem any longer. I can feel the satisfaction of all that has been lived before. And I feel that I am here in the time that has been talked about from the beginning of time. I am here at the time of awakening, the time when not all, but many will discover the power of alignment with who they really are. I would like to say to those who don't understand, it's going to be all right. And I would like to say to those who do understand, are we ever having a good time or what?